Oh, and an additional note, I'm lactose intolerant, so you know what I'll be doing the rest of the night. Hey everyone, I'm Dave, and today we're cooking the world's best queso blanco. Queso blanco, I'm being specific there because I was looking for like that white cheese dip you get when you go to like a Tex-Mex restaurant. And when I searched for world's best queso, I got a bunch of yellow things. And so I figured I'll do queso blanco, because I think that's what it's called. And then I found a bunch of the queso that I actually wanted to try. Maybe we'll do normal queso some other time, but this time it's queso blanco. As always, what we do on this channel is we look up the world's best recipes on Google. We see what Google gives us as the #1 option. Then we try to cook it and we see if it really is the world's best. So follow along with me. Usually the recipes come out quite good. Every now and then they're awful, but it's always an adventure. Okay, so let's Google the world's best queso blanco and see what we come up with. All right, it looks like the top result is from the Cookie Rookie. Has 4.4 stars, 2.1 thousand reviews, so a lot of people have made it. 4.4 is not that exciting, so I don't know if it's really gonna be the world's best, but it's probably gonna be good. Pretty confident of that. Yeah, it looks good in the pictures, so I'm excited. All right, so let's go over the ingredients list first. You're gonna need evaporated milk, 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, cornstarch. I've got this Mozzarella, I can't say it, cornstarch. American cheese, I got a lot, but you'll need 3/4 pound. Mozzarella cheese, shredded. You can shred it yourself or buy it pre-shredded. 2 tablespoons of canned jalapeños or chopped green chilies. We ended up getting both. We got jalapeños and green chilies, so we'll mix them up, I guess. We need some chili powder, ground nutmeg, which sounds absolutely disgusting in a queso dip, and I'm probably not gonna use it because it says optional, but you know, to each their own. Some red pepper flakes, salt, pepper, and then you've got like the garnish, which is gonna be chopped cilantro, tomato, and jalapeños if you so desire. So that's our ingredients to make the world's best queso. Also, you might want some chips to dip in this. I've got the chips waiting in the wings. So let's see what we have to do to cook this. Here's what I'm gonna do just to be ahead of the game. I always like to do this. I kind of read to the end of the recipe, the ingredients. I'm not a professional cook, guys. I never claimed to be, but I do enjoy cooking, and you know, you get to cook along with me and we see if it ends up being good or disgusting. All right, so anyways, what we're gonna do is we're going to get these garnishes ready first, because you know, when I'm cooking on the actual stove, I'm not gonna wanna be worried about chopping tomatoes or cilantro. So I'm just gonna chop up this tomato that I just washed and the cilantro, and just get it ready to be a garnish, and I'll put it in a bowl or something. Just get it out of the way so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Now I use a bread knife to cut tomatoes usually. I find it a lot easier because it's so soft. The bread knife does a really good job of slicing the tomato. I mean, listen, this is the advice of a non-professional, so do what you want. Queso is something I've tried cooking many times in many different ways with varying levels of success. I've never had like a terrible one, but a lot of times what you struggle with queso is getting the right consistency and texture, and you end up with something that like gets really hard and thick super fast, or you may end up with like something that's too watery, too runny, things like that. So it's a tricky one to cook. We'll see how it comes out today. This is not a recipe I've tried, so you never know. What I'm doing now is I'm chopping my cilantro. I already chopped my tomatoes. And we're gonna set these on the stove, not on the stove, but on the counter next to the stove, so that when this thing's done, we can add them to the top. Or maybe we'll leave them over here. I don't know. We'll put them somewhere out of the way. Let's leave it at that. So there's our cilantro. Very divisive herb. I knew a guy named Herb. He was also divisive. Not really. I don't know anyone named Herb. I feel like that name has kind of gone out of fashion. But if you're named Herb, comment down below and let me know, hey, I'm Herb. Okay, so cilantro, tomatoes, color, guys. You gotta put color in your food. Red and green. All right, so we're gonna move over to the stove and actually start cooking this. I think it's gonna be a fast recipe, but just follow along and let's see what happens. Okay, now I'm over at the stove. I've got my saucepan on the stove. This is my version of a saucepan. Now let's actually get started. Looks like our first 2 ingredients are gonna be the cornstarch and the evaporated milk. So I'm gonna measure out the cornstarch, and what's this? This is 12 fluid ounces. So we're gonna use the whole thing of the cornstarch. I think I just said we're gonna use the whole thing of the cornstarch. That's not true. We're gonna use the whole thing of the evaporated milk. And how much cornstarch? 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. If we use this whole thing of cornstarch, you'd have a pretty disgusting queso. All right, so we're gonna pour the condensed milk, no, evaporated, not condensed. I'm really messing up today. Condensed milk actually reminds me of a recipe that my mom used to make. She used to make these 7-layer like magic bars, is what they were called. And they had coconut and condensed milk and all this other stuff in them, like nuts and chocolate chips. I mean, I think we're on to an idea for the next show, huh? Because that sounds amazing. We should make those sometime. But this is evaporated milk. It's slightly different. Condensed condensed milk is like thick and really sugary. All right, so it says heat evaporated milk over medium-high heat in a small saucepan. So I'm gonna turn my heat on to medium-high, stir in cornstarch and whisk to combine. So we're gonna get our 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think cornstarch is a thickening agent. That's what's gonna give the milk the ability to kind of like thicken up. But yeah, so here is the cornstarch. We'll add it in with the milk. We'll grab a whisk and we'll stir it up. We are gonna use a patented tiny whisk and just mix that up there while this comes to a boil. We want it to kind of disappear, I think, all the powder. All right, while that heats up, I'm gonna look at the next step. I'm instantly seeing a bit of a mistake here, guys. This is one of those recipes that's gonna be fast and furious, and I should have pre-measured everything. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab all these ingredients from over here. I'm gonna bring them over to the stove, and we're gonna get ready, because it looks like, actually, I might even turn off, I'm gonna turn off the stove. I am. Just for a minute, because I wanna make sure we have everything ready. 3/4 pound of American. It looks like we got a pound, so I need to take some of this out. Now, American cheese is really underappreciated. A lot of like cheese snobs, I'm way over here by the way, hello. What I'm doing is I'm just getting the cheese. They like individually wrapped it in this paper, and so I'm just taking it out of the paper. But a lot of cheese snobs say American cheese isn't real cheese, but it's one of my favorites, so who cares what they say? All right, so I got my 3/4 pound of American cheese ready to go. I also gotta get my 4 ounces of mozzarella cheese. And this is 16 ounces, so 1/4 of this. 4, 8, 12, 16, yep, that's right. I'm using way too many dishes. I just wanna have everything like fully ready to go so I don't make any mistakes. I'd say that's about 4 ounces. Right there, 4 ounces of cheese, mozzarella. It also says we need 2 tablespoons of canned jalapeños, chopped or chopped green chilies. I am concerned about the jalapeños because it says hot with like a red thing and it's like super spicy. I can't handle super hot stuff. I might just do the green chilies because it says green chilies or diced jalapenos. So I might just do the green chilies. And it says 2 tablespoons. I have this tiny little measuring thing and I'm gonna just pour 2 tablespoons of the green chili into that. Or maybe I'll spoon it in. And no, I don't mean spoon it like snuggle it or anything. You know, spooning. It's not that kind of spooning. All right, so is that, yeah, it's a little too much. Let me take a little out. All right, so I got 2 tablespoons of the green chilies ready. I got both cheeses ready. I need a teaspoon of chili powder ready to go. I'm kind of developing a hearty mess here as well. I'm not gonna measure this out. I'm gonna put the teaspoon next to the chili powder so it's ready to go. And then I'm gonna get my salt and pepper, which I'm gonna need, and I'm gonna put a 1/4 teaspoon next to that because we're gonna need a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, I feel good now. We can turn back on the heat, medium high. It says when you start to see bubbles around the edges of the milk is when it's ready to be turned down. So I'm just gonna stir it up again in case some of that cornstarch settled to the bottom. I don't want it to burn, so. Stir it up, make sure to scrape any off the bottom that's there, whisk it all up. It smells like baby formula at this point, which is not really the best smell, but that's what I'm smelling. Wait, let me fix my camera. There's that, medium-high heat. Okay, so it looks like we're right about to boil here. It says to look at the edges for bubbles, but I can't see it because I have bubbles everywhere. If I just move some of this away from the edge. I hear the bubbling though, I think it's about to boil. It says right when it's about to boil, turn the heat to low. Yeah, it's gonna go. Low, turning it to low, turning it to low, stirring it, and now it says while it's, so I just turned the heat to low, and now I'm stirring it constantly, and it says stir constantly while you add your cheese. So you're gonna see me dropping in all this American cheese now, and hopefully it kind of melts. Yeah, it's kind of melting as we go, and this will actually help cool it down a little bit so I don't burn it. You don't wanna burn the milk. The last thing you want is burnt milk. I used to work at Starbucks, and I accidentally burnt the milk a few times, and everyone was very disappointed. So you definitely don't want burnt milk. All right, so just mixing in this cheese, and as it melts, I add more. And you don't wanna overdo it because I think it would cool down too much and then it would take forever. So kinda multitasking here. That's why this is tricky and why I wanted to get everything ready, because it says to whisk constantly without stopping the whole time you're adding cheese. And it actually says to continue whisking even as you're adding the next ingredient. So I'm gonna have to like read the recipe, add the ingredients, do all this stuff simultaneously, which is tricky. All right, so keep stirring that. Now that's all my American is in there. I'm gonna add my mozzarella next. It did say in the recipe that if you want it thicker, you can add extra mozzarella. So that is an option. I'm noticing some brownish chunks in here, which I'm not really sure where those would be coming from. Maybe some of the cornstarch did cook on the bottom. I'm not sure, kind of confusing. But let's bring the mozzarella over here. like so, and start adding a little bit of that to this. And hopefully this ends up being good, but I am, oops, just spilled it everywhere. A little concerned that I have some brown spots. That could just be bubbles or something, but might have burnt the cornstarch. That wouldn't be good. Although it is thickening up, which is a good sign. Definitely thickening up. Okay, so this is definitely thickening up more so than I really want it to, but look at that. That's weird. Very weird. I've got my heat on low. Do you see that, guys? Look how, I don't know. I'm not sure about this. Let's add the teaspoon of chili powder now. 1 teaspoon of chili powder. We're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, it says. Spill it all over the stove. You didn't see that. And then we're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of pepperoni. No, not pepperoni, just pepper. Okay, and then we're also gonna add those diced chilies or jalapenos, whichever you chose to use, to this mix. I'm stirring it like crazy and I'm not too happy with the results so far, but you never know. Okay, well, it's, I guess it's all mixed up. I mean, I'm not hugely happy with the texture and consistency, but it says the next step is to put it in a skillet, but this is optional. I did something like this, like a cast iron skillet, and put your oven on broil, which is what we're gonna do, even though I'm not sure if it's a good idea. So I'm pouring it into here. So it says to pour it into a skillet, like so. Let me get like a spatula to get it all in there. I don't know why I pick these stressful recipes to cook. Like queso, I've done it before, it's always stressful. And yet I choose to do it on video to watch you guys see me stress out. That's not why I do it, but that ends up being the result. All right, this could be good, we don't know. Look at my mess on the counter, it's crazy. So it says to broil for 3 to 4 minutes or until the cheese starts to bubble. It's looking pretty good so far, so I'm gonna put it in the oven, set on broil. I'm gonna set my timer for 3 minutes. And while that gets ready, I'm gonna clean up my mess a little, sorry. All right, I'm back, guys. I got some chips ready to go. That's in the broiler getting hot. I realized there's 2 ingredients I didn't add. There's the red chili pepper flake thingies and the nutmeg. Nutmeg was by choice. I've made a queso recipe that called for nutmeg before. I put the nutmeg in it and I hated it. And that's why I avoided it this time. You might like it, it's not for me. The red pepper flakes I was gonna put in there, but I just forgot because it was so rushed. All right, so the cheese dip has been in there for, like I said, about 4 minutes. So we're gonna pull it out. And it's interesting what it's done here. It's like browned up on the top, which was kind of the plan. Let me get you this camera so you can see it. This was indeed the plan. Said if you wanna get the brown top, you do that. And then we take some tomatoes, pop those on the top there. And then we I'll put a little more, some cilantro. And that is our beautiful, world's best, well, I guess that one's staying over there, queso dip with some chips. So we're gonna try it and see if it really is the world's best queso. All right, so let's try this, world's best queso. Let's see, wait, where's my hand? There it is, going in. Let me get it with some of the garnish. Look at this, like, it's got this like skin on the top where we cooked it. That's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. I'm gonna throw a tomato and a cilantro in. Oh, I guess I missed. Tomato bit and a little bit of cilantro. And let's try it like that. I love cilantro. Cilantro takes it to the next level for sure. Wow. Yeah, this is good. This is really good queso. Now let's see the thickness here. So I mean, it's pretty thick as far as queso goes. Like when I go to a Mexican restaurant, it usually isn't that thick, but I'm not complaining. This is a great queso dip. It really is. Came out good. I was a little concerned there, but it came out really good. Try it out, guys. Let me know in the comments if you try the nutmeg and how you feel about it. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have liked it. Red pepper flakes would have added a little spice to it, which would probably be good. I might put some jalapenos on the top. I have no complaints about this. I'd probably give it like 8 or 9 out of 10. No issues at all. It's really good. Try it out. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Comment down below what I should cook next. Bye-bye. Oh, and an additional note, I'm lactose intolerant, so you know what I'll be doing the rest of the night. Had to end it on a classy note.